All right, what's going on, everybody? Here we go. There we go. We're getting it working there. Can you hear me over
What's
there, Mark?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can barely hear you.
Hold on, I got like three fans going.
Okay.
All right, what's up?
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. So today we're going to be talking to MAR77. That's how we all know her. She's been a sub of mine for a while now. Found out she has a really crazy and really interesting story. So I figured we would got in contact with her about it, and here we are. So, for everybody who doesn't know who you are, before we dive into your life, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in Washington State. Ran into some drug problems
Hmm.
and landed myself in WCCW.
All right,
Washington State Correction Center for Women for 2 years.
there we go. You want to be for anybody, but shit happens, so just deal with it. So let's go ahead and let's jump right into this. And in case anybody doesn't know, she's going to go ahead and give her YouTube channel out. So she's going to do that. And if you guys go ahead and take a look right down there, there is a man called Andrew the Wanderer, and that is her husband. Go ahead and check on his channel. He's got a good channel as well. And give both of them a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go ahead and tell them your YouTube real quick as well.
Yeah, it's MAR77. It's not a big channel. I think I have 14 subs. It's whatever, but I'm new to this and I just want to get my story and my experience out there and kind of like hinder other women from making the same choices I did because it's not the right thing to do and it will fuck your life up forever.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, we're not going to be answering any comments right away just because it kind of takes away from uh, the topic or whatever is at hand. But we will, and she'll be answering questions and stuff afterwards. So we'll definitely give that an option, and that that will definitely be something that you guys can do and keep it respectful, as always. Uh, but yeah, so let's go ahead and let's start with when you were a child to when you first started getting in trouble. Like, how was your life growing up as a child? Did you, like, for me, I didn't have, my mom was not, like we've talked about, my mom didn't have was never a drug addict. None of that stuff. I didn't grow up with alcoholism in in the household. I just made poor decisions. So for you, what was it like? You know, start as early as you want to.
Well, honestly, when I was about 3 years old, my uncle, who was 15 at the time, and he wasn't blood related, he actually called the cops on my dad, my birth father, which my relative, I don't even consider him blood. He was doing some SA and some abuse and shit, and my uncle called the cops on him, and my biological father actually at the time was on probation, and CPS didn't want to get involved down in Oregon. I think this was Multnomah County. And I guess CPS came. I looked fine. I looked well fed. The probation officer showed up that night. Uh, I was really fucked up and beat up looking at 3 years old, and they took me into custody immediately, threw him in jail. Long story short, my uncle testified. The whole family disowned him. Uh, my biological father got a slap on the wrist. My biological mother said, uh, she lied to me about a bunch of shit later on in life when after I was adopted and found her. But nothing happened to the dude. I ended up going into foster care for about 4 years. Some other really fucked up shit happened, and I was adopted at 6 and was very fucked up from a teenager, or from 6 to a teenager. And about 18, I started my heroin addiction, unfortunately.
At what age?
I would say 17, 18. Unfortunately, I had a child at about almost the same age as my mom. My mom had me when she was 16, but I was, I think, 18 when I had my kid. Yeah, I was 18. It was like 98. And I was just had really bad postpartum depression and stuff, and it wasn't working out with the baby's daddy. And I mean, this is really fucked up, but I actually planned out my addiction. I actually went out and tried it. I was pretty emotionally just broken at that point in my life. I didn't know how to deal with things. And, Kurt Cobain, Lane Staley, all that shit. I went to where they used to hang out, and it was a wrap from there. Like, it made my head spin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty rough. And um, I'm pretty sure that a lot of the post trauma had to do with it as well. You know what I mean? Because some of the stuff that we've talked about, you've had, like you said, you were, eventually you were adopted. So what was that like? Like as a child, what like because I obviously I wasn't adopted, so I
Hmm.
don't know what that experience is like. But for you, when you like, what was it like when does that make sense?
Well, yeah, well, for me, like, I had been in foster care in Multnomah County for about 4 years. So,
Hmm.
and this a fucked up thing happened. So, my very first foster home that I went to, the older brother had done some shit to me, and I had told. And what they
Sorry
did
to
to
hear
cover
that.
it up, no, it's all good. What they did to cover it up, and during that time, they were actually trying to press charges against my biological father from the state. So I actually had two SA abusers during that time, which was really fucked up. But what they did to cover it up was they actually took me to a library and dropped me off and had another family come and pick me up to a different foster home. Like, it was really fucked up, dude. Like, um, besides that, the other foster homes I can barely remember. I mean, I acted out, I punched holes in walls, I was very angry. Um, like, I didn't know what the fuck to do, at like
Yeah,
4 or 5 years old. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. My head was like, like, my mother abandoned me. My father's a piece of shit. What do I do? Where do I belong? Where do I fit in?
yeah,
I go here, I get dropped off, picked up. I was so used to that shit. So by the time I got adopted, it was just like whatever. And then it was a little bit of stability. But the woman who adopted me, she had the financial stability, but she didn't have, I don't think, the right, like, I don't know how to explain it. She didn't have the, I mean, she couldn't have kids. That's why she adopted me.
hmm,
And, um, she just didn't have like the love and affection that I needed. Like, the money, that none of that meant shit to me, because that's not what I was lacking. I needed
yeah,
somebody to care for me, and she didn't do that. So I just lashed out, and it was all kinds of fucked up from
yeah,
6 to 18, and it just got worse.
yeah, definitely. And that's
Yeah.
and that's sad because a lot of kids end up in foster care and things like that, and they kind of become a check to some people. I'm not saying that was the situation with you,
Yeah.
um, but that usually become, and that's a big part of the problem
That's
because
true.
they
That's
say,
fact.
"What's
Yeah.
that?"
That's facts. That's true.
Yeah, and everybody always says, that the youth is our future. So if the youth is our future, we can't look after the only youth we look after can't be the ones that have families.
Hmm.
It can't be just discriminatory towards that because the foster system is of course it's a blessing in a lot of ways, but it's not in a lot of ways. Like I don't know
Yeah, I
the
mean,
stuff that goes on.
there was so much shit kept from me. Like, My uncle, the one that actually called the CPS on my biological father, like
Yeah.
it literally says in my paperwork that he was my hero, and I just got reunited with him like a year ago, and he is like, we talked about it, and he was like, man, I only if they would have told you about me. I wonder if, when you were acting out as like a teenager, if I would have made a difference. And we were both like came to the same conclusion that he would have totally just made that impact in my life. But my biological father actually, after I was adopted, tried to come to my school and like kidnap me and shit. So we had to that's why we moved to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Man.
otherwise, I don't know, they just kept everything from me, but
Yeah.
it's like those little things that were kept from me, it's just like now turning 40, it just makes me I'm just questioning a lot of shit and I need a lot of answers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. No, I definitely know what you mean. Well, that's rough. So, like when you finally, when did you realize that even though she adopted you, that it wasn't basically working out for you? You know what I mean?
Well, see, the thing was, is when I was adopted, I was fully aware what sex was and all that at the age of 3. So, I mean, I was using like manipulation skills and shit that other first graders and second graders had no fucking clue about.
Right.
Like I remember this one time my teacher, I think her name was Mrs. Hess, like in Oregon or something. She was trying to like give this girl a cookie to do what she wanted, and she came up to me and tried to give me a cookie, and my adoptive father told me later about this. He said that I told her, "I know what you're doing and I'm not gonna take it." And I didn't take the cookie. Like I already knew
Wow.
the mind games and shit. Like I was just blown away. Like how did I know that at such a young age? But that just comes with,
Mhm.
being exposed to that kind of shit. It
Yeah.
just puts you in this mindset. But
Yeah.
I knew from when I was adopted, my adoptive mom gave me this thing called a life book, and what it was a photo album of my journey from pictures of homes from foster care, pictures of me. It had like a little paragraph and like cutouts of in pictures of like my birth mother and my birth father and what happened in a very subtle, way that a child could understand.
Hmm.
So I knew about things like that, but I didn't know any of the facts. I knew what I was told, and that had always really bothered me. Like my adoptive mom told me that my biological mom did the best she can. She cared for me the best she could. Well, I know that I now know that to be 100% bullshit. She was just insane, and I don't care if she hears this. I really don't, because any mother that could give her child to any person in fear of them getting beat up. I don't know if I'm phrasing this right, but she supposedly gave me to my dad because she was getting beat up and he wanted me. So she gave me to him so he would stop beating her up. Did that fucking make sense? I'm sorry.
No, I don't understand that. I
I'm
don't understand
sorry.
the logic behind that. That's
Right.
counteractive completely of what she's saying that she was trying to do for you. So
Yeah,
basically, she's like, "Well, I don't want to be in this abusive situation, so I'll just let her be in there."
my mother was 16 when she had me, and my father was, I think, 17 or 18.
Okay. Did you end up seeing your mother later on?
Yeah, so I had a really, really good best friend. Her name is Marta.
Hmm.
Um, I met her in a group home. Actually, my adoptive mother, I ended up being suicidal and took a bunch of pills and all this and that. You know, Obviously it didn't work. I had to go to the hospital and drink charcoal and all this and that. I was really
How old
emotionally
were
just,
you?
yeah. This was when I was like 14 to 18. I did it
See,
twice.
see, that shit's sad. Like, I just read a story about a little girl who committed suicide at 10 years old the other day because she was being bullied about the color of her skin.
Isabella.
Oh, you know who it is? No.
TDOA. TDOA put that out.
Oh, that's
I,
right. He did, huh?
yep, that
That's just
shit broke my
horrible.
heart.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
shit's. I don't understand it. It's sad. So to hear you say that too, that you were so young and already thinking like that, because I couldn't imagine, like I didn't have issues like that's, specifically when I was growing up. Like I never thought to try and end my life. So when I hear people that have at any age, but it trips me out more when it's a younger age. Like, wow, that shit's got to be pretty bad for a child to want to feel that way because most of the time we don't really always know what's really going on most of the time. But then you hear your
yeah,
experience so far and you knew you understood what was going on. So it was even
yeah,
worse because you weren't
yeah.
oblivious to it. You know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean?
you know what? Like I'm kind of glad I knew, well, I don't know. Like you said, it's like a 50-50 thing. Like I'm glad I fucking knew what was going on because I had those memories. I knew where I came from. I knew I was switching environments every time I
Yeah,
switched them.
right,
I didn't know what the situation was going to be, but I knew I didn't have a choice. Um but at the same time, shit was withheld that could have really helped me developmentally, emotionally,
right,
um, that wasn't told, or information that wasn't given or disclosed for whatever the fuck reason. It fucked me up emotionally, and I'm finally just getting past all that shit now, hitting 40. You know what I mean?
wow,
And that's fucked up in itself.
yeah. I'm glad you made it to be able to get through that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
It sucks that you got to go through it, but most people can't really get to the point where you're at. Shows what kind of person you are to be able to get over it. Doesn't matter what age,
Yeah.
if that makes any
I mean,
sense.
I still suffer with shit. I still
Yeah, of
struggle with
course.
shit. Like, especially like my mom. Like, I got in touch with her, I think a couple months ago. Uh, I'll let you know more about that when we get back on the prison thing, so we can go off of
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
yeah.
Why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell us about how the first time you got reconnected with your mom? Like, how was that? What was Were you scared? Were you nervous? Were you upset? A little bit of all of it.
I was 18 or 19 years old. I had just had my son, me and my baby's dad, whatever you want to call him. And Marta, we drove down to Oregon, which is where she was. I
Yeah,
don't know how. I think my best friend at the time, Marta, actually found her online because she was like literally my sister. Um, and she found her. She's like, I found her, da 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 da. And my mom at the time was working at this place called Volunteers of America in Oregon, and we called her and we went and we met her, and she had a six-pack in her hand, and that was that. And we were friends, but sometimes it don't end well. I mean, I
yeah,
was nervous. She was nervous. My friend actually took pictures of us the second that we saw each other, and my mother's like covering her mouth, and I'm just sitting there with open arms, like just lovingly wanting to embrace her, kind of
yeah,
still naive to what actually happened, because she actually wrote me a letter before I was adopted about everything that happened and admitted her fault and her guilt in it. And I had never blamed her before. Like, even when we were in I think visitation, when I was first taken away, I think there was a little report that I read that said that my my mother was in the next room, and I knew she was in the next room, and I actually had like my ear to the wall and was so frantic to get to her.
yeah,
And that shit just killed me when I read it, because it's just like that mother daughter like bond, wanting to, just feeling completely abandoned and knowing she's right there, but I can't get to her. It's kind of like prison in a way. It's like, I don't know how to explain it.
no, I understand. That's damn. That's horrible. Like I'm picturing it. You know what I mean? Like I'm picturing you as a little girl, like being frantic about it. You know what I mean? Like that's sad. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, and I never wanted to play with any of the other kids. Like my uncle even told me I was the best little girl. He told me that he would take me to the park, and I was so desperate for any type of like mother, daughter, or adult attention because I didn't have it, that I would literally go up to strangers and sit on their lap, and he told me I would come back with like chips and snacks and cookies and shit. He's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
you were great. You were so popular. Everybody loved you." And I'm like, "Well, that's cool, but you know, like now I can see that as what it really is, you know?"
Yeah, you were just you were yearning for for a certain type of love.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really sad.
that's rough. So how did you and your mother continue your relationship?
So we continued our relationship, and I actually asked her about my biological father, and she said she had my biological grandmother's number. I got in touch with her, and I got in touch with my biological father. At that point, I don't know, I think it happened between the age of 18 and 19 where I first started. I think it started with like ecstasy, and then I started, you know, actually actively seeking heroin on Broadway in Seattle. So that's where it was at back in the late 90s. And I was actually strung out, and I talked to him, and he actually bought me a Greyhound ticket down there. And I met him. I was strung out. He told me a bunch of bullshit. I confronted him about the incident that got him locked up in his. Sorry, my voice is cracking. I don't know what the
No, you're
fuck's
okay.
going on. But I actually confronted him, and he denied everything. And at that point, I was like, I'm never going to get these answers. I'm never going to get justice, and I'm going to let it go. And that's what happened with that. But as far as my mother, we kept talking. She
Hold on real
moved in
quick, Mar.
with us. Okay, okay.
Sorry, it's getting all weird on me. Let me go out and come right back in.
All right. Oh, goodness.
All right. There we go. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Cool. Good. All right.
Shit's so serious, huh?
Yeah, I know, right?
I know we've talked before. I haven't told you any of this shit, but like I said, I like to be transparent because I don't have anything to hide, and at the same time, it's made me who I am.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's the best way that you can look at stuff like this. You know, of course, there's always going to be some stuff that, you know, should be kept private just for yourself and stuff like that, you know. So,
Yeah, yeah. No, I get you.
um, so with that all being said, uh, you confronted your dad. You've met your mom.
Yep.
Um, you didn't get answers really from either one.
No.
Did you continue a relationship with either one of them? Like after learning, you know, like, all right, so this isn't going to do shit for me.
Yeah.
Did
Well,
you
I was
kind of
still
give
pretty.
up on it with them, or did you continue to have a relationship?
So with my biological mother, I actually did continue a relationship with her, and some shit actually eventually went bad. And believe it or not, she actually shaved her hair off before Britney Spears did.
Oh shit!
I'm not shitting you. It's fucking weird. She had some sort of mental episode and like ripped her, like sliced her own leg open and had to be hospitalized. So
Holy shit!
after that, I kind of lost contact with her. And then I think about maybe 5 years into my addiction, I ran into her up on 14th and Olive in Seattle. And I was like, Mom? She's like, oh
Wait,
my
working where?
God. No, she wasn't working. She had parked her car at 14th and Olive. It's basically like a residential street up from Broadway. It's like 4 blocks up from Broadway. So Broadway is like 10th, right? 14th
Okay.
is like 4 blocks up. It's up a hill.
Mm-hmm.
Because Seattle's got a lot of hills and weird curves and shit like that. So I
Okay.
saw her walking up there, and I was like, Mom, what the fuck? And she's like, "Oh my gosh, where the fuck have you been? Come meet your grandma." So
What the hell?
yeah, I
That
was
is
like, "What the
random as
fuck?"
hell.
It was years after our fallout. It was like a couple, like 2 years after our fallout. So we were
Yeah.
like, it had simmered and fucking fizzled the fuck out, and we were like, whatever, and we squashed it, I guess. And she's like, come meet my mom, your grandma. And I met my grandma, and my grandma loved me. I always used to call her Grammy, and you
Yeah.
know, she was just really cool. And
That's really interesting. Like, like even though you guys lived in the same city, it's still a small world, like, in a way. You know what I mean?
no shit, like how the fuck did I run into this bitch after
Hello?
not wanting anything to
We
do with
lose you,
her?
Mar?
Oh, you're losing me?
Oh, okay. No, I thought I didn't hear you, so I said, did I lose you?
Oh no. But
Okay.
yeah, no, I know what you mean, because it's like out of all the places, she was like in my fucking territory. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
she was right where I ran around all day, every day.
Right.
Because I was homeless up there. Because after I gave birth to my son, my adoptive mother found some paraphernalia and shit and was like, "Oh fuck this," and put a restraining
Yeah.
order on me, kicked me out of the house, filed for custody. And that's a
Oh,
good
wow.
thing. I'm actually glad she fucking did that, because my son actually runs his own mechanic company and shit now. Like, he's
Oh,
doing
nice.
fucking awesome. He has never touched drugs. He drank like once or twice.
Oh, that's
He just
amazing.
turned 21. Like, I used to hate my adoptive mom for it, but like, honestly, it was the best thing that she could have done. So I just
Wow, that's
couldn't.
cool. Good for
But
him.
yeah, yeah,
Because we never want our children to go down those same type of paths. At least, I know there's some parents that don't give a shit. I've seen that.
right,
But
right.
you know what I mean? Me as a parent, that's the last thing I ever want to see is my kids go down the same path that I did, even just remotely. So to hear that's always awesome, because a lot of times that doesn't happen. So a lot of times they end up going down the same path or a similar one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm really grateful for that, because man, there was so many years that I would call her crying, "Why can't I talk to him? Why me? Why me?" And I couldn't really realize that I had done this to my fucking self.
Yeah.
You know, it has taken me that long to realize it, up until a few years ago, and I'm
Hey,
just grateful.
hey, Mar, let me go back in and come out. I don't know why it's getting all staticky. Hold
All
on, let
right.
me let me do it again. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, definitely. Um, you're doing really
But
good, by the way. So,
okay,
uh,
cool.
I seen your husband down there. He went ahead and he's what he said. He said, much respect, MAR77. This takes a lot of takes serious courage, and he's absolutely right. It
Yeah.
it really it really does take a lot, especially I think especially for a female to talk about their experiences and stuff like that, because you've had a lot of experiences just in a little bit we've talked about. We still got plenty more to go,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's
I got
already
a lot of
been.
crazy stories, like a lot of crazy situations I put myself in and actually got out of
Hmm.
unscathed. Like, people I talk to nowadays, like kids I grew up on the street with that are, we've all aged together and shit, like 10 plus years later, the ones that are still alive anyway.
Right.
So much shit has happened to them. And I'm like, why the fuck didn't any of this happen to me? Like, I'm not saying I wanted it to happen to me, but I'm
Yeah, of
like,
course.
the way that I look, I've just got this certain kind of innocence, but at the same time, don't fuck with me type of thing. That's what my friends have told me. But it's like, I can't see it. It's weird. I don't know.
Right.
I was just honest.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you getting on here and stuff and telling us about it, and it's pretty interesting. I'm glad to have I've been wanting to do prison interviews with females as well, because a lot of times people think that just because they're in like a women's prison, it's not that it's not, they don't get down or this and that, but that's not the fucking case. Like, I know
No,
women
they
are a lot more vicious. I've heard other stories. I've known women that have been to prison and stuff like that, and that shit gets ruthless. You guys have
so
a
when I
whole another system of doing things, which I mean, my bad. I'm getting all off track. We'll get into that one. But what were you gonna say?
so when I went in 2007, I went to WCCW, which is Washington State Correction Center for Women. Before that, I was in King County Jail on an assault 3 and 4. They dropped it down from a 1 and 2 with deadly weapons enhancement. They took the deadly weapons enhancement and 1 and 2 off, charged me with the 3 and 4, and decided to charge me with an old VUSCA
Yeah.
violation, controlled substance, whatever.
Right.
And so I was sitting in jail, I think for about 4 to 5 months. I don't fucking remember the exact time because this was like 11, 12 years ago now.
Yeah.
And went to prison. So I was in there. I went to receiving. Receiving was, crazy because, it was basically like a 22-hour a day lockup. And I want to say that because I think they had an hour for rec, and they had, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And what else did they have? Yeah, I think that was about it in receiving. And you had to wait to get classified, right? So you had to sit there for 3 weeks, and they classified me as a high violent, which I think it was like a H1 or some shit like that. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
So they take us up to the I was classified as minimum, but they did have a medium security unit
Yeah.
and a max where they housed the lifers. But when receiving went to eat, you would be eating the lifers, the mediums, and it would be everybody. So I mean, it was actually really sad because I remember one of the first times I went to go eat in the chow hall, they were like, you got to sit here. You can't look at these people in this. And, after a while, it just became normal. But at first, it was like you're so on edge and
So
you're
you
like,
couldn't.
oh,
They
shit.
were telling you guys couldn't like look at the lifers and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it was really sad because all of them had really white hair and
Nope.
looked very old. And it was just very sad type of thing. But once you got into the groove of things, it was easy. And plus, I was actually detoxing off of methadone when I went into prison, so it was like 10 times harder for me personally.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hella rough. Because going in anywhere like that, you know what I mean, it's never like it's never a good look. And it's
But
always super rough because you can't. I mean, you can get what you need, but it's gonna cost an arm and a leg usually.
exactly, and I didn't have nobody coming to see me. I didn't have anybody putting money on my books. I was indigent. I owed money to the state because of the indigent.
Right.
And yeah, I was just SOL. I was shit out of luck, and I was on my fucking own. I had to face myself. And I'll tell you, when I actually got to receiving, I fucking kicked balls in that bed for like 3 weeks straight off of
Yeah.
methadone. It took me about a month. Actually, when I got a receiving and went up to L unit, the minimum yard, I was actually like kind of feeling okay, a little bit better, but it was just really hard to get off that shit and get that shit out of my body. And after that, I mean, you could get anything you wanted up there, but I really wasn't even thinking about that. I was just like, I don't even know why, because that's the type of person I was back then. But
Yeah.
I think I was in so much shock of everything going on. Like I couldn't, and I didn't have money. So it's not like I could fucking do anything. I couldn't draw. I couldn't do any of that because I was feeling like shit. So I don't know, man.
Yeah.
it,
No,
it was,
I get
it
it.
was a crazy shock.
No, I get it because I didn't when I was in prison. I didn't even. I think I smoked like 4 cigarettes, uh, and I didn't do any drugs, like none. Uh, I didn't even drink. The moonshine and shit, the white
Criminal.
lightning and stuff. I didn't do nothing like that because I was like, well, fuck, man, I'm in here, because can't follow the rules. This shit sucks. Fucking,
Yeah.
how can I prevent myself from staying out of it? And I was like, well, first I gotta get a hold of the addiction problem. Um, and so I figured if I couldn't stay sober in prison, I definitely am not going to keep doing it again when I get out. So I made it a point to not do that. And I mean, a lot of shit crossed the hands and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just kept to studying, and I wasn't planning on being in Supermax. So I was trying to better myself. So I get it. I know exactly what you mean. I was trying to just do anything I could to better myself, study, work out, things like that, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's easy to say, but it's so much harder when you're in the shit and you're in that cell, you're sweating in your sheets and you fucking
You there, Mar?
stink. It- I'm here, can you hear me?
Think it might have cut out.
Uh-oh.
Oh, did it cut out? There you go. You're back.
I was gonna say like it's so much harder when you're in the shit, you're sweating in your sheets, like
Yeah.
all your clothes. I think they give us like two pairs of like actual like not denim but like khaki denim and
Mm-hmm.
like I think it was like four or five sweatpants and there were gray light gray sweatpants, and then
Yeah.
gray t-shirts. And then you could have a gray sweatshirt, but none of it could be a hoodie. And then you could have your state issue jacket, and then your state issue shoes, which were Bob Barker. Bob
Yep.
Barker fucking made everything out here, and those
Yep.
fucking shoes fucked my feet up. Let me tell you that. I
We only have
fucking hate
Bob Barker
those
for county.
motherfuckers. You don't want to work. You don't want to work in those in the motherfucking kitchen. Oh my god.
I'll bet this is probably hot as shit.
Yeah, they
See,
get moldy.
we made all our own clothes there.
Nasty. That shit
Everything,
nasty.
all our pants, shirts, everything was made there. The only Bob Barker stuff that we ever had was when you went to county. All the stripes were Bob Barker. I always remember seeing that shit and laughing.
Well, King County, they have you in reds, and then if you're a felony, and then if you're a misdemeanor, you're in blues, which we didn't see often, on the floors I was on. And then the trustees, I think, had like orange and white, maybe. I was on the trustee floor one time, like a long, long time ago. But and I actually remember one time I went into the kitchen and I actually saw a box that said not made for human consumption, and they were feeding people with it. I shit you not. I shit you
Yep,
not, man.
I believe it. I'm dead serious. I believe it because, man, I've seen some shit in counties and in prison and stuff. Like, oh man, that shit sucked. Like, yeah. So I know they always do some foul ass shit there. Like
Yeah,
the candy we would get would all be hard as fuck because Sheriff Joe Arpaio was such a piece of shit that he would fucking get all the candy and all our stuff donated because it was all fucking
oh hell no.
expired shit. And then he would charge, 250 for
Yeah,
350, 250 for a fucking Snickers that's fucking been expired for 2 years.
yeah,
And then what it was is that
exactly.
his sister, she ran that shit. So
Yep.
she ran the it was crazy.
Yeah, I remember the commissary guy. Like all the girls would be like, "Oh, it's commissary guy, yeah, John or whatever the fuck his name is." He probably still works there, but it's like, damn, you guys got a boner for this guy? What the fuck? Who the fuck is this? It's like, what the
So
fuck?
so I was just thinking about it, and uh like you said you were kicking when you actually, like, when you went to prison or while you were just in county.
No, so when I was in county waiting for the charges to lower,
Oh,
right,
okay.
for a deal, I actually called the clinic and I was like, I need to start detoxing because my public pretender is telling me I'm gonna go to prison. Because if you get over it, if they sentence you to a year, you're gonna do county time. If they sentence you to a
Yeah.
year and a day,
Yep.
you're going to fucking prison.
Yep.
That's how
Same.
it is up
That's
here
how
in
they do it
Washington.
there too.
Okay.
Same. Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, you're gonna get like about, I don't know, like 12 to like 24 months, something like that. And I was like, all right, well, I better fucking start tapering off this shit because if I just go there you know, off of like, I think I was on 125 milligrams of methadone at the time. I was like, I'm going to be kicking balls. I'm
Yeah.
going to be falling up the walls like some train spotting shit. I'm not having that. It was that bad anyway.
Yeah.
But, but
Yeah, that shit sucked.
so,
See, because I detoxed in jail and I was in there for a while. And
mhm.
then so I was already sober when I went to prison as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I would have
so I
rather
got a
I
break.
would have rather have gotten that shit out of the way in jail before I went to prison, so I
Yes.
just would have been more aware and all that shit, because that shit, like, mentally and emotionally, like, you can't really protect yourself as well because your
Right?
body is
Yeah.
going through some bullshit.
Yeah, you're going through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So okay, so let's talk about county real quick.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I mean, we don't necessarily. I haven't seen anything on like Washington men's prisons yet or their counties. Um, so I mean, but with that being said, give us a breakdown of what it's like your first time going into county as a female, and then you can even do some talking about like the rest of like your jail experience. And then we'll get to and then we already kind of did some of the prison stuff, so then we'll jump right into because I know you got some other stuff that we
Like,
that,
honestly, bro, my county experiences, I was high every time I went in. Every time I went in that shit, it was either for a theft, a forgery, a fucking malicious mischief, a DV, an assault. I was high every time I went in. So every
yeah,
time I went in, I would either get a week, 20, 30 days, whatever. So I basically, every time I went into jail, I was kicking heroin. Every
right,
time I went in, it was behind my addiction and the
yep,
fucking shitty choices I made.
yep,
So my experiences in the jail, eh, losing your freedom and just feeling all the feelings you haven't felt because you're not on your shit anymore.
yeah,
It's hell. It's
yeah,
literally hell. Your family won't help you. Nobody will call. You can't call nobody.
right,
Nobody will put money on your books. But the second you get out, you can call your partner and go get your fix.
right,
Like, it was just a continuous cycle.
yep,
Um, the experience itself, like, as far as the facility, um, we had pods. I was always on the ninth floor. I think the ninth floor was the women's wing, the 10th floor was the guys, the seventh floor was the psych ward. Um, and I can't remember the rest because it's been so long, thank goodness. But
well, tell me what's the at least in for county, what was the most violent thing you seen?
the most violent and stupid thing I seen was a bitch fighting over another bitch, just like some prison shit, right? So this chick was in our pod. She didn't like another chick across the way. So we had A, B, C, and D pods, and then there was a hole on the bottom, right?
Right.
So the top tier had A and B pod. Or maybe I said that wrong. I can't remember the fucking layout. All I know is that I was on the top tier. I was on one side, and this other bitch was on the other, right? So this lady,
Huh. I think it cut out again.
she's, can
I
you hear
can't hear
me?
anything.
Can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're
So
good.
this lady, she sees this other lady and they're fighting over a bitch. All the pod doors are open, right? I don't know if we're getting ready to count, we're getting tampons, toilet paper, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So all of the doors are open. The lady from my pod runs into the, oh no, it was like the segregation tank across the way. That's right. It was the disciplinary tank across the way. And then downstairs was a hole. So all the bad people were across the way. So this lady runs into the disciplinary tank and tries to beat this lady's ass, right? But this lady just beats the shit out of the girl that's from my pod, right?
Yeah.
And then she comes back all bloody and shit, and she's like, yeah, what? Like, that's the most violent thing. And then I saw this guard, like, this one time this girl was eating her breakfast and she wouldn't stop eating, and this guard was like, oh, you got to stop eating, put your shit up now, put your tray up, rack back. That's what they call it in King. They're like, rack back. You got to go to your cell and fucking close your door, right? She's
Yeah.
like, rack back. This girl wouldn't rack back. She was eating. She was coming off a tweak or some shit, right? So this guard comes up and picks her ass up with her chains, fucking slams her down really hard on the ground. And we were all just like, oh, damn. Like, you know, like the fist
Oh
in
yeah.
front of your, like, oh, you know,
Yep.
like shit, like. And then I seen some other little fights, but I mean, it really wasn't that violent in county because everybody there was coming off of something, and that's the
Right.
truth.
Yeah.
But there were some bitches that were sober, fighting over other bitches, and in that mentality, you know, and other women just weren't on that vibe, and they were just kind of like whatever, and it was more of like who you knew type of thing. It wasn't really a lot of gangs or anything like that. It was just like who you knew with the females
Okay.
on the street. If you knew somebody on the street, then you were cool. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So after that, you go to prison.
Mm-hmm.
You get sentenced to. Oh wait. Hey, you know what? Why don't you tell everybody how many charges you have real quick? You don't have to tell all of them, but like how many do you have? Because we talked
Well,
about this, so I want people to hear this.
I have 28 cases. I have 28 cases, at least since my adoptive father looked them up in 2012 for my last DV. I have 5 felonies, 3 misdemeanors, and like 3 other charges, and then like one dumb traffic charge. Like it's really dumb. Like and all of it started and is behind me wanting money for, you know, really fucking retarded shit. Like the first charge, the possession of stolen property. Like I stole a bike because I wanted, and I pawned it because I wanted a fucking pack of cigarettes. Like how fucking retarded is that? You know?
Yeah.
But I think like from 2000 and up, those were all drug related. Every fucking single one of them were behind drugs, wanting to eat, going into a store, opening a bag of chips, getting caught. I didn't give a fuck. I was hungry, you know, like just dumb shit, like
Yeah.
embarrassing shit, really. But
Yep.
yeah, supposedly 28 cases.
That's a lot.
It's nothing to be proud of either. Like
No. No, not by any means. But it's a
I look
lot though.
back now and like I don't want to tell my son about this shit. Like that's embarrassing. Like
Right.
maybe if I was still running on the streets or something, but it's like honestly to me, it's something I don't want to openly brag about, and I don't.
Yep.
You know,
Hmm.
that's just how I am.
No, I understand that. Because I don't like telling people that shit either. But you know, what I mean, I'm straightforward if somebody asks. But you know, what I mean, I don't like to sit there and talk about it either. I get it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're talking to somebody who's never been in trouble either, which more people haven't been in trouble than people have been.
yeah. But what about my mom? You said something about prison. Did you want to bring that one up?
Oh, yeah. Hey, you know what? Hey, give them a brief history of, real quick, an incident that happened with you and your mom, if you can, before we talk about the prison
I'll
part.
tell it like it is. All right, you guys want to know the real shit? The real fucking honest truth. All right, I'm totally transparent. I ain't got shit to hide. So I think it was back in 2007, and this is why I went to prison, you guys. So my biological mother, I hit her in the head with a fucking brick, and it's nothing to
Hey,
fucking
hey, Mar, you're
be
cutting
proud
out.
of. I was fucked up on drugs.
Hey,
I don't
Mar.
know what the fuck I was thinking. I was gone, okay?
Hey, Mar, can you hear me?
Somehow she managed to hold my ass down with her how I fucking went to prison. And that's the fuck. Am I there? Am I there again?
Hey, you were cutting out.
Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me,
Hello?
Mar?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, you're gonna have to start
Yes,
over
I can.
because you were cutting out through almost the entire beginning of it.
All right. All right. So 2007, I was really fucked up on drugs. I went and I thought it was a really good idea to hit my mom in the head with a brick. And I'm not ashamed to say it because it happened. It's a part of my past. She managed to hold me down until the cops got there. My grandmother walked out and tripped and got a scratch on her nose. And that was an assault for me. They charged me with that shit, even though I didn't assault my grandmother. They charged me with an assault for. So that's the
Jeez.
assault 3 and 4. My mother actually had to have 17 staples. I think it was like 17 to 24 staples in her wig.
Holy
Uh,
shit. I remember you were telling me that. I mean, even though you already told me, like, that's
yeah,
crazy.
I mean, there was blood everywhere. I don't know what. I mean, I was thinking like I felt it was justified at the time because she had gotten me kicked out of the only places I had to stay, telling the
Right.
managers I was doing drugs in their apartment, got me banned from properties. I was out in the snow sleeping. I felt it was justified at the time, but now I look at it as just me being a fucked up
Yeah.
person that could have actually gotten a charge of attempted murder or, you know, all that other shit. Like I don't know how it turned out well. I mean, it didn't turn out well, but I don't know how I didn't
Lost you
get.
again, Mar. I
Are
don't know
you
if it's I think it
serious?
might be my connection. This thing's been acting weird.
I'm sorry, that's fucked
It's
up.
not your fault. I think I'm pretty sure it's mine because StreamYard does pretty good for the most part, but it gets a little janky sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
It does its own thing.
my phone's on a charger and shit, so I don't know. I'm kind of low, but I mean, it's still working. I don't know.
Yeah,
You're in the middle of nowhere though.
it should be good though. It should be good. Mine's low too, but I got it on the charger too. But okay. So I want to ask you post thought. What were you thinking post? Like after that happened, like what was going through your head? You see all this blood everywhere. Uh, you
I
know.
was trying to get away. I was trying to get away. I was
Hmm.
That bitch held my ass down. I said she was bleeding. She said, I'm getting dizzy. I said, Mommy, I can't breathe. I literally said that to her. I said, Mommy, I can't fucking breathe. And she said, You're all right, baby. You're all right. And she held my ass down, bleeding out of her fucking cap until the cops got there.
Shit. So they obviously they did they arrest you right away?
Oh, yeah. That night, right that night, I couldn't run. I was trying to get away. I think I had just beaten a MRSA infection,
Oof, those
and
are rough.
I
I
was
had one on
weak,
my head.
and I was weak, and
Yeah.
but at the same time, like it is what it is. Like she held my ass in a bear hug, bleeding out her fucking cap until the cops got here. That still blows my mind to this day, and I'm like wondering how the fuck she had the strength to do that. It's just kind of amazing to me
Yeah.
in a weird way, you know?
And you're so lucky that because it could have been a lot worse. That might have just been whatever you believe in. That might have just been your higher power's way of being like, all right, check it out. You're gonna sit down for a little bit. Just
Yeah.
know this could have been way worse for next time.
And I think my grandma's the one that called the cops. I don't even think my mom actually called them. I think it was my Grammy because she was scared.
Right.
This old, like, I think she was like 65 at the time. She was just like, literally, what the fuck's going on? Blood everywhere. She tripped. She got a little scratch, and she wasn't very well like coordinated. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I mean, it probably threw her off too, and
Yeah.
it could have been attempted murder. I could have been for life. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
even know. Like,
No, definitely. Like that's what I was saying. Like, I know guys that are doing natural life because they were wrestling with their cellies in their cell and they slip, fall, hit their head, and nobody actually is going to really, the cops aren't really going to believe like, no, it was legit like an accident.
yeah,
So That's what I
They won't
meant. Like,
fucking believe your ass. They won't believe your
could have
ass
been
and
a
they'll
lot
charge
worse.
you,
Thank God it
right?
wasn't. And I'm glad that it wasn't worse, you know.
Yeah, me too. Me
Um,
too.
you did mention something else though that had to do with prison and what and your madre.
So while I was in L unit
Twist
at
here, guys.
what?
I said, here comes a twist, guys.
All right. Dun dun dun. So while I was at L unit, right, on the minimum yard, I don't know how the fuck it happened, but I kind of started thinking about it last night, and I think this is what happened. I think somebody that worked in receiving, because people in L unit used to go to receiving and do the laundry and shit, right?
Yeah.
For like all the new inmates and all the new people they were processing, and that was by the mental health ward. And I think somebody in there got wind, got a hold of my mother. My mother was in prison and had asked about me to let me know that she was there. So I can't even remember who the fuck it was really, but some girl came back and told me that my mother was in prison with me, and I'm like, what the fuck? What in the actual fuck? And I didn't actually find out until after I got out of prison, and I was actually at the like Seattle courthouse because I had a new charge or some old shit bite me in the ass, right? And I actually decided to look my mom up on the clerk's computer thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I found out that she was actually in there because she was on the James Street exit, and she had taken a Zoloft, but it wasn't a Zoloft, it was a Valium. So she was fucked up, right? And she went through a red light on the James Street exit, I think going southbound, and actually hit and killed a man with her car. So she was in prison for a vehicular homicide, doing 31 months. She only got 31 months. And she was in there at the same time I was, and was inquiring about me, trying to get a hold of me. But the thing is that the person that she killed, his daughter or nieces or nephews or relatives were in there. So they forced her to PC up because people were literally trying to kill her. And she was in the mental health ward. She was in Max, but we never saw each other. I just kind of knew that she was in there, but I thought that was really interesting to find out once I had gotten out.
Yeah, that's crazy as hell. That
Yeah.
even though you guys didn't like have contact, but mother and daughter are in the same prison. I know it happens, but it doesn't happen like a lot. You know what I mean?
No.
So that's just crazy, So
Yeah, it kind of makes me feel weird. Like, what the
and
fuck is wrong with my family, you know?
yeah, and to put this into perspective for other people, because sometimes you already know who I'm talking about. We have quite a few people that come in here and have the brain
Yeah.
capacity of a gnat. So with that being said, just so you guys know, her mother got 31 months.
For
That's
vehicular
not a
homicide.
lot. 31. She got 2 years and some change. How much time did they give you for what you did?
So there was originally a sentence of like 9 to 17 months. But what happened is they actually did two of my sentences consecutive, and they did the drug charge concurrent. So I actually did about 23, 24 months. But the thing is when they sent me to work release in this place called Ratcliffe up in like uh, I think it's like Beacon Ave or something. It's not Skyway, it's Beacon Ave, like towards downtown. They sent me to this place called Ratcliffe, and they had me go to this place called Dress for Success, ran by the YMCA or YWCA. And I got this purse, and they actually brought the drug dogs to the work release, and the dogs hit on my purse. And I actually went back to prison for about 6 to 7 months before I was actually released because of marijuana residue in that purse. And I was completely clean like that three fucking weeks I was out of work release.
Yeah. So basically, you got hemmed up and had to
Yeah.
go back to prison.
Mm-hmm. I basically did all the time plus some because they couldn't let me out. They couldn't find somewhere to release me to that would take me because of my charges. And I released to this place called Rita's House, I believe. It was in Kent. And the police station was half a block away. The probation officer was half a block away from that. So they were keeping real close tabs on me when I got out.
Wow. And then what did you do? Like when you got out, what did you start to do to like how did you make sure to not be back in the same position or, per se?
I was 100% clean and sober up until, and I had 24 months probation. I was clean and sober up until 6 months after my probation ended. Um, I just, I didn't contact anybody I used to know. I didn't go around all the old neighborhoods up in Seattle, like fucking 18th and Madrona. I didn't go there. I didn't go to Broadway. I didn't go to the Blade. I didn't go to Aurora. Nothing. Like, I was good. Like, there was no, I wasn't gonna have that shit taken from me.
Yeah.
I would try to get a job. I did this thing called Work Source. They made you do all sorts of orientations and job bullshit, but no one will fucking hire you with fucking 5 felonies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Every
definitely.
place
I know
I
what you mean.
went, they're like, "Oh, this your record? It's all here." I'm like, "Well, yeah." And you try to be you're honest, and they don't want to hire you, and then it makes you feel like you have to lie. And
You there,
then,
Mar?
yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? You here?
There you go. You're back. I I
So
I think that they can hear you for some reason. For me, it's being weird.
and just
Uh,
fucked up, huh?
yeah, it's weird. All
The
right.
fuck?
I'm sorry. So go ahead and finish what you're
No,
saying, and
so
then I was gonna ask you a few more questions.
so so they have you do this work source and all sorts of orientations, like get this job plan and do your resume and all this shit, but you know, it, nobody wants to fucking hire you. You got 5 felonies.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to fucking hire you. Like,
Yeah.
I had to get on state aid. I had no fucking choice because I had to pay rent at this halfway house, and I had no way to fucking pay it.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for fucking, I didn't even give a shit. Like, clean the toilet with a toothbrush. I don't give a shit. Like, I wanted to
Yeah.
do something. I wanted to
Yeah.
do something fucking productive, and they wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
And I was just staying out of trouble. I wasn't around nobody old. Wouldn't I did my little AA meeting, and what was fucked up is the AA hall was directly next door. It was this place called the Blue House in Kent, Washington.
Yeah.
And yeah, everybody would sign off on your slip, regardless if you went or not. But it was just retarded, man. Like, it was just a kind of a joke, but I still like knew where I came from, and I knew I wasn't going back,
Yeah.
ever. And I haven't.
Well, that's good. You know what I mean? That's amazing because
Yeah.
it's one thing to go somewhere where you should be learning a lesson or two, and then when you can't come out and learn the lesson all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, but they don't always do a lot of
You've only
things. I
been to
don't know how they were for you guys, but for us, they didn't try and you were like if you were in a certain, custody level, you couldn't get the same training that other people would get. You know what I mean?
right, right. I mean, at WCCW, they had fucking like cosmetology school. They
That's
had
cool.
fucking horticulture. They had L unit was like where the violators and the receiving people would come. Then they had J unit, which was, or was it J unit? Or okay, so I can't remember exactly what unit because it was so long ago, but they had a unit where women would come in pregnant or just giving birth and they could keep their children for up to 5 years, right? Oh, that was K unit. And then they had no, K unit was the dog unit. J unit was the baby unit. That's where the babies were. K unit, they would have dogs coming from pounds and shit. and inmates would actually train them. You'd see people bringing their dogs out and shit on the yard. Like it was like when I was coming from jail to prison and girls knew it was my first time, they were like, "Oh bitch, it's a college campus." And that's basically what it was. I mean, it was nothing compared to the brutal men's prisons I hear about, you know?
Yeah. Now, I heard you. Now we've talked about this. You were telling me about it, and I think it'd be kind of interesting. You told people. You said the baby unit.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the baby unit?
The baby unit is females coming in off the street that are pregnant, 2, 3 months pregnant, about to give birth, or they're have already given, or they're in the process, whatever. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they have their baby. They're on a specific program, right? And if they fuck up any part of their program, they can get their child taken and have it removed, and all their privilege is gone, and they'll have to be moved to like a different unit, like L unit or medium security, or where the lifers are,
Yeah.
But I mean, there were strollers and shit. There was this one lady that actually had her baby in there. I think her baby was like about 2 years old. She went into the kitchen and she jacked a bunch of butter or sugar or something and put it in her baby's diaper and got searched on the way out of the kitchen because they had guards and shit searching people on the way out.
Yeah.
And she actually had her baby removed, and she was back into a regular unit without her child. So I mean, there were privileges and shit there, but you had to like have a good track record and stay consistent.
Right. That's just. I mean, that's good though. Like I mean, it's weird. It is. It's weird to hear of kids and babies being in prison. You know what I mean?
It is.
But
It was fucking weird. It's like you see this little toddler and goo goo gaga. It's like, what the fuck? I'm in prison. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah. That's different. I remember when you were telling me that, I was like, dang, the only time I ever seen that shit was like in El Salvador and shit. They let their fucking kids,
Right?
go in there. But I get what they're trying to do though. You know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
not necessarily against it. I'm on the fence about it, to be honest. It's
Honestly, it was weird because, the yard that we were on, I mean, if I had a high violent offense, you didn't know what the next bitch had. I mean, a couple of my cellies, one was in there for burning a house down, and the other was like supposedly for a cartel or whatever. You can't really believe what
yeah,
everybody says, but you don't want these people coming up to your kid while you're in the stroller, just walking to the chow hall trying to fucking eat. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just fucking, it's a weird vibe, like family type of shit, like we had talked about, like
yeah,
family cliques, not a lot of gangs. It was just like all in who you fucking knew
right. So
from
you
the
guys
street.
didn't. So like I told you in Arizona, I know that the women do what they call like families. Did you guys? You guys didn't do something similar to that?
Oh yeah, we did do something similar to that.
Well,
I
break
mean,
that down for us.
there were the natives, there were, you know, uh, like the Mexicans, black people, like all sorts of different shit. But the thing was, is that if you were native, you could actually get privilege to pipe tobacco and a peace pipe. So you could actually smoke fucking tobacco out of a peace pipe in the sweat lodge sessions. You could smudge. You could get a little fucking lighter. You know those long ass ones that you like light a fireplace with that are hella long, that you have to click hella times and shit, and they're hard to click. Like you could
Yeah.
get one of those and like light this like fucking like grandfather sage and shit in a bowl and like smudge and shit with it. Like you could get certain privileges if you claimed certain religious backgrounds, like native or Hispanic or other things. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I thought that was kind of weird. And the friend at the time told me to claim native, and I was like, cool, well, I can smoke cigarettes. What the fuck, So I was like, yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing that shit.
you, you claim native so that you can smoke cigarettes.
I know it's
That's
kind
cool.
of lame, but it is what it is, and it worked. So
Get your hustle on. I know people that wanted to be on certain diets, so they would like study like Jewish shit, so they could get
special diet.
yeah, they could get like the kosher diet and shit like that.
Yeah, that shit was weird. It was like Jello and like weird soupy type shit.
Yeah, I didn't. I tried to switch one time. I tried to do I tried to not like eat meat and shit like that. Like I tried to do the vegetarian diet because I just wanted
Oh
to.
yeah, yeah,
Because I
yeah. The
what's that?
vegetarian was good. The vegetarian was good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
The
I just wanted it
vegetarian was
for the fresh
the
vegetables.
vegetarian was good because yeah, they'd have fresh vegetables, they'd have fucking salad. Like when you went into
Yeah,
the chow hall, you could actually choose between a fucking vegetarian or regular. Like you could say, "Oh, I want to do vegetarian," but you couldn't choose between the special diet. Like that had special paperwork. And
yeah.
they had like a fucking band and shit. Like you could play guitar and shit. It was fucking weird, I'm telling you. Like it was fucking a trip. Nothing like I expected. Like I expected going in there, like I had to fucking shank bitches and shit, and it was nothing like that. It was just all about drama and bitches and who you knew, and I was okay because I knew a lot of the women in there from the street. And the really sad thing is that a lot of them were drug addicts and they were coming in with their teeth fucked up, so they'd get them removed, and then the dentist would give them these dentures that were oversized, and it was just it was kind of funny. But and then when the alarms would go off and the lights would flash, like 20 people would drop at a time from seizures and shit. I'm not even joking.
Holy
they'd
shit,
they'd
that's
drop
crazy.
every time the lights would flash. We would have shits on or sheets on sheets on bitches, and like people helping other bitches out this outside to get away from the lights and shit. Like it wasn't even cool. Like it was freaky. It was like some fucking horror movie shit, I'm telling you. Uh-oh, can you hear me?
Sorry, Mar, if I didn't respond
Oh
to
no,
you
you're
right
good.
away. It like it cut
Oh, I'm
out on me
scared.
again, but
No, I'm kidding. You're good.
so what's like we talked about how the women's prison, how you guys you know click up. If you wanted to go a little bit more in depth of that, if you had more information you could. If not, then
um, I mean, not really. It is. I mean,
seems
it's
pretty
just on.
simple.
Yeah, it's just on who you know, and plus, when we're all in King County Jail or another jail, we all fucking know each other, unless you're like some out of towner that comes out and gets a DUI or some abuse victim that shot her husband or something. I mean, there was plenty of those. Like not that specific, like exact, but you know what I mean. Like it was mostly people from the street up in there, like for real. When I was there, it was all people I knew from the street every motherfucking time, and
Well,
that's sad to say.
now, okay, well then here, uh, tell me about your experience as your newfound religion of being native, so you could smoke cigarettes. Did you do sweat lodges? Like,
So,
did you get to do anything?
oh
Uh,
yeah, so I smudged and shit while we were in WCCW, but all of a sudden, I think about 4 or 5 months in, they tell me to roll it up and that I'm being transferred. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And like there's like 10, 13 of us, and we're like, where the fuck are we going? They never tell you where you're going, right? So they put us in this van, they fucking put the chains on us, whatever, chain gang shit, whatever. And they take us to fucking Spokane, this place called Medical Lake, Pine Lodge Correctional Center for Women. And Spokane, middle of fucking nowhere, right?
yeah.
300 miles from fucking Seattle.
Mhm.
And that was some weird shit. Like they took us there, and the native thing there was way more lax. It was like way better than minimum. The sergeants and the captains and whatnot were way more uptight, but it felt like you had a little bit more freedom in a way. So they actually had a little structure out on the little, like, I think it was the yard. Yeah, it was the yard. They had a little structure. It was like a frame of a sweat lodge, a little round, like dome looking, half dome structure. And what we would do is, like, I think once a month we would go out there, we would rain, shine, snow, whatever, we would put the tarp over it, and we would actually make fire and heat up rocks and bring the rocks into the fucking sweat lodge and actually do an actual native sweat.
That's crazy. So you actually got to do the sweat lodge thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I was
Like,
so
how was
hot
that though?
dude, I was
Like you're
so
explaining
hot
it,
in
but
that.
like I've never been in a sweat lodge. I've heard about it. Like, were you kind of like a little nervous? Like, did you know what to expect already, or?
I wasn't nervous. I had never done it, but I was like, fuck yes, let's fucking do this. Fuck yeah, something different, you know. Um, I went in there and it was fucking amazing because there were people that were there before I had been to that facility that had already been doing it, but there were more of us now. So it was like a complete circle. And when you went into the sweat lodge we had these lava rocks, that had like the little holes in them and shit. And what they would do is they would make a huge ass fire and put those rocks inside of it and get them so hot, and then they take them out and then put them in the very middle of that little tent and that little teepee, whatever you want to call it, and then we'd seal off the door, and you would start sweating balls. Like, I sweat so much my kneecaps felt like they were fucking peeling off. Like, that's how hot it was in the dead middle of winter. And it was dark and there were other people and you just talk, and it was a bit, I don't want to say spiritual, but it was a really like weird bonding energy thing, like just with other human beings.
Now, tell me about the oh man, the brain fart. What was it called? You were telling me about some there's a place right outside of the
Monkey
prison.
farms?
Yes.
Okay, so supposedly, and this was the word when I was in there, I think it must have been like 2008 or so. So when I was in there in 2008, people were talking about the facilities across the street. There were these huge ass abandoned buildings, and they were so creepy and eerie. I mean, you looked at them and you just knew something bad had happened there. Well, the word is that one was either Eastern State Hospital or Western State Hospital. I can't remember what one. You'll have to forgive me.
No, you're all right.
But for the mentally ill, this is where they send people that are very mentally ill, and they send them like undeterminate amount of time. You know what I mean? And then the other place was supposedly a monkey farm where they did testing on the monkeys, like different scientific experiments and shit. No shit. But it
Now,
was completely abandoned and hadn't been used. But that was the word, And they also had an underground tunnel from the gym at Pine Lodge that went to this facility, and that always fucking creeped me out. I mean, you'd see deer. It was so fucking remote. And actually, while I was there, a female violator, which had violated probation in Spokane, was there. And she had actually tried to escape. I think it was actually in the paper. She actually tried to get over the razor wire and actually got cut the fuck up, came back down, went in her window, went into her bed, and then the nurses found her like bleeding out and shit. Like, that actually fucking happened. And we were on lockdown for like a fucking month.
I'm sorry, Mara. It keeps cutting out.
Did you hear anything I said?
I didn't hear the last like 15 seconds.
Well, the lady actually climbed back down and went into her cell, because it was like an actual sliding open window that the cells had, because they had 2-man cells, right? That was the only thing. That was the only cool thing about Pine Lodge, right? And she went back into her window, went into her cell. The nurse found her, and she had almost bled out. And it was actually like in the paper and shit. And we were on lockdown for like a fucking month because of that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever were there ever like rumors about the tunnel being used?
I mean, there were rumors, but it was only like that staff could get to it or some shit, and it was really remote. Like they had never talked about a prisoner actually like getting out or getting over there, but it was just some weird shit, man. Like that whole place had a really weird vibe. Like you were in the middle of nowhere. The snow was like up to your fucking head.
Yeah.
It was just nuts. I'd never experienced anything like that. Like even on the street, I had seen a lot of violent shit, but that was something else. It was just such a shock, you know?
Yeah. Now the winters had to have been rough.
Yeah, the winters were really, really rough. I experienced one winter there. I think I was there for about, I don't know, like 9, 10 months or something. And the icicles were like from the roof all the way down to the ground. And they were like a wall thick. Like you couldn't break them and you couldn't see out of them out of your window. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
That sounds wild. It's like bars on top of bars almost.
Pretty much.
Did you ever hear any rumors like of people like just disappearing though? Like I know like that sounds weird to say, but like, you know, there's like a tunnel connected to this weird place.
No one never heard that. It was just all about the monkey farms and that tunnel. And you know, we're like, oh well, what if this and that? You know, like
Right.
coming up with these weird little scenarios and shit. Like, yeah,
I just find it
there.
fascinating about the monkey farm and the
Yeah.
experiment on, you know?
Oh, me too. Like, actually, like I went and visited an old like female friend I had actually that I knew through prison out in Spokane, and I was gonna actually visit um, PLCCW. They actually shut it down. It's shut down now. I was thinking about visiting it, but I'm like, I didn't for some reason. But I've always really wondered like what the fuck really went on out there, you know?
Again, Mark.
Uh-oh. You cutting out again? What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know why it keeps doing that shit. It's like really irritating because then I miss out on certain things that you said, you know?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It
No,
could
it's
be
not
my.
your fault.
All
I
right.
think it's on StreamYard's end.
Well, thanks a
I
lot,
mean,
Stream.
like, this is same kind of issues I've had before, you know?
Yeah.
Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I don't know. I don't know why it's being weird.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. What the fuck?
Let's see. Sorry, I was trying to look some stuff up real quick.
No, you're good. Yeah, my husband's telling me I'm talking way too fast, so I'm like, okay, I gotta tone it down a fucking notch. 'Cause
No,
it's
you're good.
like,
I
I
didn't
don't
think
really,
so.
I don't really get to tell this shit every day, but it's just like so much a part of who I am. It's something I can't unsee and I can't unlive. It's just, it is what it is, you know?
Yeah. Well, give us more of an insight on more of your prison experience. What was some of the scariest stuff you seen? What was some of the craziest stuff you seen?
Um, I think some of the scariest shit I saw was people, like in all reality, um, people that I knew from the streets having severe drug addictions
Yeah.
coming in with amputated arms, amputated legs, slabs of skin, and flesh missing. And I'm not shitting you. Like they're 20 years old, their entire teeth were gone. Um, People that I knew that I could hold a conversation with were now, you know, completely insane. Um, you know, like I said, the fights, it was really only bitches over bitches. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you had a problem with somebody, you would call them out and just do whatever. It wasn't anything like, I didn't really see anything super, super violent because it was a minimum yard.
Mhm.
But that was just really scary. And for me, is just to see the people that I knew missing arms and legs and in wheelchairs and a vegetative state almost.
Yeah.
That was literally the scariest shit I saw.
Yeah, that's definitely some crazy shit to see for sure.
Yeah.
For anybody. What was the craziest thing you experienced in there? Did you have any fights yourself or?
So the only kind of fight I had was when I was in jail, and it was when this black lady had been watching BET for about a month straight and would not let anybody change the channel. And I
Yeah.
stood up and she talked her shit, I talked mine, and then she backed down, and that was that. And she never fucked with me again. And besides that, and like I said, it's like there were so many of us that knew each other. It's like nobody really fucked with each other unless it was
Right.
like a bitch over a bitch, and that's just kind of how it was.
Yeah.
And this one lady, actually, one time in the chow hall, I think it was at Purdy. We call WCCW Purdy up here. I
Yeah.
don't know why, but that's the fucking nickname. And this lady had been in prison for like 5 years, and she didn't want to be shipped off to a camp. So they had Mission Creek, they had Pine Lodge, and like something called Curve, some weight loss weirdo camp. I don't even know. And she didn't want to go, and I guess she decided that she was going to try to fight an officer to get, put in the hold to be stayed there and reclassified. And that's what she did. She fucking took her tray and threw it at the officer, and like was holding it up like a fucking shield, and was like, I'm not fucking going anywhere. Come on, motherfucker. And they charged her and they fucking maced her and sprayed her. And that was like the craziest shit I saw. Everything else was just hustling and people doing their everyday grind.
Yeah. Just doing the typical convict shit, moving and
Yep.
grooving.
Yeah. Yep.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we you know how to look at the comments and stuff?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Why don't we go ahead and why don't you start reading the comments? Because I know there's been a lot of stuff in there. That some people were asking, and then you can read the comments, answer a bunch of questions if there's questions, and if anybody else has any other questions, now's the time. Go ahead and ask, but keep it respectful as well.
Oh yeah. Hey Jimbo. Let me see. We're never ready for that life as much as we look back and say it's normal. It's okay to say this isn't normal. I remember watching parents shoot dope. That's fucking crazy, man. That is crazy. I still feel like I've never gotten over my childhood and upbringing. I am so thankful for it, though. It made me stronger, just like you. Yeah, that's true because I wouldn't be who I am today if I wouldn't have been through half the shit I have, you know? Like
Yeah,
it just
definitely.
is what it is. Like I wouldn't be able to stand up to half the shit in my life right now at 40 years old if I wouldn't have faced that. But at the same time, it's like, what the fuck?
No, definitely. Because you went through some crazy stuff,
Yeah, and I know we haven't
and you
even
turned
talked
out pretty
about this
good
shit.
in the long run.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Like you
I'm
made
just
some mistakes, just like the rest of us did, but you moved past them.
yeah, it's a struggle, but yeah.
No, definitely. Let's see. Let's see if anybody else has
Sleepwalker
any other
said
questions.
AZ rucked.
What's that?
Sleepwalker said AZ rucked.
I know everybody's got a different name for me. Everybody's got something different. It's funny. Most people can get the name right on the first try, or he can't get the name right on the first try. I think he just does to be funny. So what's going on? Does anybody got any questions? Because I know there's got to be some questions that I didn't even. Because I want to get you back on again and do like a part 2, Mar, because I feel like there's some more stuff that we could talk about too. I feel like the cutting in and out was throwing me off a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because
Me
like I
too.
wouldn't hear certain things, and then you know what I mean. I wouldn't hear certain things, and then we would repeat it back, and then sometimes we would do it again.
Yeah.
But like I want to get you back on for a part 2 if you wanted to.
Oh yeah,
And,
totally. Oh look, there's J Coffee. Cool.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to get on and do that, because a lot of the stuff that you had happen and stuff, as being adopted and going through all that stuff with your mom and like all this stuff, for you to get on and talk about that stuff, that was really brave, so I appreciate you getting on and sharing the story and everything, and took a lot of courage. You had a lot of stuff that you talked about that other people mostly wouldn't even talk about.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, I like to be transparent. I don't like to hold back shit. I don't got nothing to hide. Like I mean, life is. Oh, am I cutting out again? God damn it.
No, you're good. I was outside real quick and the wind was blowing.
Oh, you smoking a cigarette or something?
Yeah, I was.
Well, I was saying, like, I like to be transparent. I don't have shit to hide. I just kind of feel like I've always worn my heart on my sleeve, but it's just kind of who I am.
Yeah. No, hey,
that
you did really good too. What's that?
I said that way nobody can go back and say this isn't that, and some bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I really do appreciate you getting on here and everything, and I'm glad that that we were able to reach out to each other and make this happen, because you and your husband are awesome, man. You guys are really cool people, and I fuck with you guys. And just so everybody knows, probably going to end up doing it tomorrow if I don't work too late. But my next interview is going to be with her husband, who is down there, Andrew the Wanderer. He had, like I said, sub up to him and Mars channel. But I'm going to be doing an interview with him.
Crazy. That motherfucker's crazy. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Hey, he's got some wild stuff. I think everybody's going to be glued to the phones or whatever you're watching it on for that one. Especially, he's got some wild stuff.
Man, you should literally ask him how he was born. Start it with that.
All right, that's what I'm going to start it with. You hear that, Andrew? So that's going to be the first. That's going to be the first question, and then I feel like it's going to be an interesting interview. I'm going to be able to let him go. You know what I mean?
He can go. He can go. I'm telling you.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be pretty dope. But I enjoyed this interview. I really did.
Yeah, me too. I don't know why I'm so apprehensive about doing a live, but I mean,
no, you did really good. You know what I mean?
Thank you. My voice keeps cracking. What the fuck?
And I think not doing the actual video just at first is a good initial break-in for somebody.
Yeah, I feel a bit more comfortable now. You're right.
You know what I mean? So, maybe on the next one we'll just do we'll just both take off the avatar picture thing.
Yeah, that'll work.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But once again, everybody, if you're new to the channel, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, sub up, and also shout out to Andrew the Wanderer and MAR77. Go ahead and sub up to their channels, show them some love.
Oh yeah.
On top of that, look forward to Andrew the Wanderer's his story. We're gonna get into that. I'm gonna give snippets of it on this channel. but I'm gonna have the full interview. It's gonna be he's gonna be the first one to do an interview on my other channel, but I'm gonna do snippets of it on here so that people can see a preview of it and hop over there. But once again, Amar, I appreciate you for getting on here. Like I said,
Much love.
we got to
Much
do
respect.
another one.
Yeah, we do. There's so much you don't even know.
There's a lot more. There's a lot of stuff that I feel like we can touch on. This is kind of like a good like I said, a good icebreaker for you. Kind of get
Oh, yeah,
on,
for sure.
get a little more comfortable, and then we can even set the next one up for like real fucking like real soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk. Fuck, did you cut out again?
Yeah,
I said we'll talk.
yeah, definitely. So once again, I appreciate it. And you guys look out for the part 2 and stay tuned for Andrew the Wanderer. We're going to be doing that. I would like to do it tomorrow. So let's see. Let's see how late I got to work tomorrow. But if I don't work late tomorrow, I want to do it definitely because I've only heard snippets of it. I'm ready
Yeah,
I want to hear it all.
it's fucking
So
crazy.
yeah, it's going to be wild. It's going to be interesting. But hey, thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in. You
Yeah,
guys,
thank you
big
for
shout out
that.
to Mar.
You
Go
guys
ahead,
are
Mar.
awesome. Thank you for having me and sub to
Always.
my channel. Um, let me know what kind of content you want to see or whatnot. So far, it's just my dog and everyday Seattle shit. But
Hey, hold
let me
on. We didn't touch on something real quick. Something I
what?
feel like is pretty important. Hey, Mark,
What?
what kind of career are you pursuing right now?
Tattooing.
Let's go.
That's what you wanted to talk about. So I've been
I
tattooing.
forgot.
I've been
I can't believe I
tattooing.
forgot to ask you about that. Like
I've
that's
been
huge. We've been
tattooing.
talking about that shit all the time.
I know, right? I've been tattooing since 2020. I'm kind of an apprentice, like hobbyist. Like I'm really trying to get it down because I don't want to fuck people up. I know a lot of people that want me to tattoo them. They're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm your canvas," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like, like, "Oh fuck, dude, you're gonna look like an etch a sketch." No, but
Nah, your
but
shit's been looking pretty good. You've been
yeah,
getting a
I've
lot.
been
Like I've
doing
been
all
seeing it.
right. I've been doing okay. I'm getting there, but it's a process, and hopefully, I can give you some of the tools I've learned along the way in the short amount of time, and
Yeah,
you'll
definitely.
get your shit. You'll get your tattoo shit going. That's what I want. Like, because I think you can do it. You got your shit hooked up.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And your stuff's looking dope. So I'm excited to get some work done by you in the future.
Yeah, we'll set it up. But
Yeah, no, definitely.
it's a Metal Star 77 on Instagram too.
There you guys hear it. Say it one more time.
Metal Star 77 on Instagram. If you
There
want
we
to see
go.
some of my tattoo stuff.
You can check out her artwork and show her some love and give her some encouragement and push her to make it a career.
Oh yeah, that's the goal.
Hey, thank you right there, 803. But yeah, hey, thank you for getting on. I really appreciate it. Much love
No
to you and your
problem.
husband. And
Yeah, much love and respect for sure.
yeah, definitely. It goes both ways on from my end to your guys' end. So, and I know it comes back. So, like I said, you guys get ready. Watch for the interview coming. I just learned that I can finally do little posts on YouTube now. So we'll be
Wait,
doing posts leading up to new interviews and stuff. So,
sweet.
but
Looking
thank you,
forward
Mar. I
to it.
really appreciate it. You guys
Thank
have
you.
a good night. Everybody, thank you for tapping in. If you have anything else, do you got anything else you wanted to add in there? Oh, I like
No,
burped at the same time. That was weird.
I think that's about it, man.
All right. Well, hey, keep those thoughts going for the part 2.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, because I know there's a lot more crazy stuff, and I want to hear it, and I know other people are gonna want to hear it as well.
Yeah, my addiction story is something else. I'll tell you guys that. Like, almost died
Yeah,
about 2 times.
I want
Hard
to
to.
dive into all of that. As
Yep.
much as you're comfortable as going into, of course, you know.
Oh, I don't
So,
give a fuck.
well
I
then,
will.
cool. We're gonna dive into that.
All right.
And it cut out again.
What the fuck?
But yeah, sorry it cut out again, Mar.
No, we're
But
good.
but all right, you guys have a good night. And yeah,
Yeah,
everybody
you
stay
guys
up.
take care. Thanks for tuning in.
Definitely. All right, have a good night.
All right. Peace.